Hello, Hero Collectors here. How's it going, everybody? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. I know I am, and today we're going to be reviewing these three Black Series figures. We have Anakin and Captain Rex from the Ahsoka show. These were mainline releases. And then we have R2-D2, who came on the Revenge of the Sith packaging, which was in a Walmart exclusive, I believe. I got these all around the same time. I figured we could review them together. Now, this review is going to go a little bit differently than I normally do. I'm going to go over Anakin and Rex as an overview, and then I will give my final thoughts on both of them together, because I took a lot of pictures of them together, and I feel like it would be harder to pick which one is a primary for Rex or Anakin for each picture, so I'm just going to put them together so I don't have to really decide that. But other than that, I'm still going to give all my thoughts the same way I normally do. So without further ado, let's get into the review, and we'll start with R2-D2. All right, taking a closer look at R2-D2, you can see he looks like a big old trash can. I mean, that's the shape of him, at least. This is on the newer mold that they have done for Astromechs, and you can see all around. I can understand some people maybe wanting a wash to him, but it doesn't really bother me at all. I don't mind having him clean. Let's go over articulation, actually, before we go into features. So both of the legs can go a full 360, and then the feet can kind of wobble. And then the head does turn a full 360. Now, in terms of features, first up, his head can rise up so you can see all of the accessories. As you can see there, I think, let's see, this tool is what he uses to put C-3PO back together. This one I want to say he uses to access doors. I don't remember what he grabs with this, and I don't remember what this is entirely. I do really like Star Wars, but I'm not one of those that are meticulous in every detail, so I don't remember what all the details of those particular arms are. But speaking of them, let's actually remove one, so we can get into one of the features of this figure, and that is the doors on the side here. And this actually kind of leads into one of my complaints of how hard these are to get open. And if there's a trick I don't know about, please tell me down in the comments, but I have an awful time trying to get these panels open. And as you can see, I'm trying to lift it, but I'm just, if there's some kind of trick, I don't know, like, do I press in here? No, I have such a hard time with this. I might actually pause the video and try to get it wedged open. Okay, it took a bit of doing, and I don't know how well you can see, but there's actually a bit of chewing on this door from me just trying to get it pried open. Again, if there's an easier way to do that, let me know down in the comments, but honestly, I don't know what else could be done. But yeah, all these arms can plug into these three slots here on the door, and the same thing is mirrored over here. So let's actually just remove that for now and close that back up. Another feature is these panels here. Again, I don't remember exactly what they do in the movies. Part of me wants to say that they have some like electric bits to them, but this is another one of my complaints, is these feel like they don't want to give, and I'm stressing the plastic there at the corner, and that doesn't want to open. But this one does. So I know it can open because the top one does, but the bottom one doesn't do anything. So there's that. Then another feature is two of the panels up here on the head can pop off. And it looks like they have like a port for one of his, what would you call it? Telescoping eyes that he has when he goes underwater. That's not an included accessory, so that is just there to take panels off, I guess. Or even, since this is Revenge of the Sith, I understand not including like Luke's lightsaber to plug in there, but still. Another feature is this bottom leg. And once again, if there's a trick to get this out, I don't know what it is, and it's such a pain to try, and it doesn't help that I clip my nails. So again, I'm going to pause and try to get it out. All right, and here it is extended. You can see it actually can kind of extend to there, but you can extend it out fully, and it rotates there and at the foot there. So that's all of the features except for the last one, which is you can take these panels off of the legs, and then and then plug in these alternate parts, which allow for his jets to be used. And these flame effects are actually separate. You can just have the jets without them. But I mean, come on, you're not going to do the jets and not have those on there. So there he is with those. So really, that's all I have to say on this R2-D2 figure in terms of what it can do. But let's move on to my final thoughts and show off some pictures. So my final thoughts with this R2-D2 were, it's got some good and some bad. I initially wasn't even planning to take photos of R2. I was just going to put him on the shelf with C-3PO and just call it a day. But once I started taking photos of some other figures, I kind of got the photo bug and had some idea and actually put him in the photo booth. And once I did, I had some fun. And it does have some cool features. I do like that he has all these accessories. I just wish they were easier to implement. The doors especially, since they're so hard to get open. If there is a trick, I don't know what it is. I remember back in the day, it would have been around 2008, I had a 3 3/4 inch R2-D2 that you could easily open the doors, and when you did, one of his little arms extended outward. It was like the door had like a extra part of it that just kind of hinged it outward, and then you could close it back up whenever you wanted. And I remember it being a lot easier than this, and this is such a larger scale that it should be easier to open, but it isn't. So the fact that feature is such a pain kind of ruins the experience for me. And along with his bottom foot, it's really hard to get out of his body. I had to wedge a Marvel Legends gun in the side just to kind of get some leverage. You know, it's just a pain. The one arm not fully extending, the no telescoping head or eye. I don't know officially what you would call it. It's got a lot of, I want to say quirks, but that's not quite the word. I want to say negatives. Let's just say negatives, but it's also got a lot of positives. It's a really good body mold. It's good scale. It's got some good paint. So it's a real 50-50 of a figure. In terms of fun factor, I'm going to say yes. I wasn't expecting to actually take pictures of him, but once I got him in the photo booth, it was a lot of fun. And then for a final rating, I'm going to give him a, let's say 6 out of 10. Just below what I would consider a good figure, solid for the price. If you're looking for an R2, it's good. It has just about everything you would want. It is missing at least that telescoping eye. I wish the features were a lot better. That is my main detractor. It would have been amazing if I could have opened all these and utilized all the features more effectively, and it would have made me enjoy this figure more. So that's all I have in terms of thoughts for R2. Now on to the other two figures. We have Anakin, and this is his Clone Wars armor, but it's done this time with soft goods. If you have the previous one that I believe was a Target exclusive, that was done in kind of like a rubber overlay. This is all cloth, and I believe everything underneath is the same mold as that figure. It's all the overlays that have been changed, like the arms, the legs, the base body, I believe, is all the same. It's just different overlays and a new head, which I think is pretty good. I think the likeness is just shy of being perfect, but it's the closest one we have to Anakin so far. This chest armor piece, as soon as I got it out of the box, it did kind of stress, but I think that was just like the initial, it was kind of cold and it just wasn't ready to be moved. But once I got to posing him, it hasn't done it since, actually. I will say, just kind of getting it out of the way, I think the arms sit a little low, or this sits a little high. I wish the shoulder pads were closer to the actual chest armor. It just seems like he's really slouched in the shoulders. But otherwise, I think it looks fine. The belt is actually plugged in on the back with a hole in the fabric, as you can kind of see there. So it's not going to really move, but it will move on the front, just kind of up and down. So you have to adjust that as he goes. As you can see, the lightsaber does plug into the belt. He's got the brown glove over here. He's got the brown glove over here, but I think this is probably one of the better paint jobs where it does look more dark and black, as it should. There's that. And coming down to the legs, nothing really special here in terms of paint apps. It's just red and brown. And yeah, just to talk to a minute about the cloth goods, I'm not one that's usually a super big advocate for them, but I think on this figure it's implemented very well and actually provides a better figure than the previous release on this body. So going over accessories, we have his lightsaber, which is pretty standard Anakin blade, and then of course his actual lightsaber blade here. And that has to plug in a certain way because it does have a slight lip in the mold to actually fit the hilt at the top. So there's that, fits in the hand very snugly, and I took lots of pictures with him in having the lightsaber pose, so I'm not going to do anything crazy right now. So let's actually take that out of his hand, and let's go over the articulation. So the head is on a double ball, so there's a ball in the actual head at the top of the neck and a ball at the base of the neck, so he can do all kinds of motion around, but ultimately, if you have the neck facing the right way, he can look up that far, not very far in total, but he can look down a little bit. He can do side to side, and of course 360. I think the movement overall is pretty natural. It's just not quite as far as maybe you would want it as a lot of figures get. The shoulders do have a butterfly here. The shoulder pads themselves are keyed into the arm, so when you go to rotate, kind of hold the shoulder there, or shoulder pad there, and it will rotate with it to a certain extent. It does want to stop after a certain point. And I did forget to mention that he does have his logo on the one side and not on the other. The shoulders can't go up that high. He has no bicep rotation, but he does have an elbow bend that goes about there and rotation there. This hand can hinge down and up, while this hand is also down and up. I thought maybe it had a side-to-side hinge, but it does not. Torso is on a ball, so he can get a lot of rotation, but crunching forward, he gets that much, and backwards, he gets that much. Not a ton, but he can also twist. You can hear that click a bit. And then down here, you can kind of see the hips, so he can go only that far, which kind of sucks. Can kick forward a semi-decent amount. He does have a thigh cut. He has double jointed pinned knees, and he cannot kick his own butt. No boot rotation, but the ankles can hinge down, and they do hinge up slightly. He does have ankle pivot. Now, like I said, we're going to move on to Rex, and then I'll give final thoughts on Anakin here in just a moment. Okay, here is Rex in his Phase 1 armor, and overall looks pretty good. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the Anakin segment, if you want to see some comparisons to previous releases, I do have a video where I unbox these guys, specifically Anakin and Rex, along with the newer Cody figure, and compared to older figures and some other figures that I have in my collection. Not everybody, but just a good amount. Overall, I think this figure looks really good. I'm not one to really nitpick any details. I know there are some things that are probably inaccurate, from the live action to the animation to now the figure. I'm sure there are some people that are sticklers for that. I'm not going to really be one because all the nitty gritty details don't bother me so much. So see, the helmet looks pretty good. I don't see any serious paint blemishes aside from maybe at the mouth there. But even then, some of these I can write off as just like battle damage. So it's painted all the way there. And it does have the viewfinder like so. Since we're at the head, let's go ahead and take a look at the unmasked head sculpt. I don't know if this is the exact same mold as the previous Rex figure, but I think it looks just fine. It looks like Tamara Morrison with blonde, short hair. But yeah, there's that. He's got his shoulder pauldron, painted pretty nicely. And then you got all the armor throughout the body. You got these shoulder pads that work just like Anakin's. Nice rubber piece. This is a rubber piece. These elbow pads are rubber, and they get out of the way when you articulate, but you do kind of wedge them like so. I haven't seen any serious damage to them as of yet. It's got the, what do they call this? The comma here. It's a little, hip skirt, whatever you want to call it. It's got the holsters. A lot of people would have preferred this to be fabric. The Phase 2 Rex has it fabric. I understand the arguments. It doesn't bother me too much. It didn't get in the way of too many articulation issues, in my opinion. Coming down the legs, you got the knees. These are a loose piece. They're like the elbow pads, but they're not really connected to anything, so they just kind of wander off. That was slightly aggravating when I was posing up the figure. He does come with pistols in terms of the accessories. He does have 2, one on each side, so you can see that there, and that one there. So yeah, that is it really for Rex. So let's go over the articulation with the helmet on. So with the helmet, you can see he looks up about that high. He does look down a slight bit. He does have full turn. He has the same neck articulation system as Anakin. I didn't really highlight that, but can turn side to side and kind of tilt. It's really limited by the helmet and the shoulder pauldrons here. Let's go to this side. Shoulders can go up that high. They can rotate, and yeah, they do run into a certain point after rotating them. I guess only when you're going forward. Or maybe not. Maybe I just bumped the shoulders, not the shoulder, but the chest armor. So that those can follow completely. He does have some butterfly joints, and his elbows go to there. This wrist goes side to side, as you can see, while this one goes up and down, and he actually has 2 trigger finger hands. Not all clones actually come with 2 trigger finger hands. Usually it's 1 trigger finger and a grip hand, and it just doesn't hold the guns well. This one does, so I find that to be a big plus. Torso can crunch that far. He can crunch back a bit, as you can see there. He does have rotation, and he can tilt side to side. Because of the plastic helmet, he has limited, because as you can see, it's kind of stressing out the belt. But there, that is how far the hips can go out. And then he can kick forward. You can get more forward if you rotate the thigh and then rotate the kind of shin or the calf area and the knee pad here. Then you just have to shift it right back, because he does have a thigh cut there and the hip there. So if you utilize both of those together, you can get that effect of his leg actually kicking forward. Then the knee kicks that far down. As you can see, the knee pad kind of goes with it. But at the same time, it can also turn and still bend. It's a loose piece, so it kind of gets in the way. It does have rotation there at the knee. And his foot does hinge down, up a little bit. And he does have ankle pivot. Just noticing now that the one hinge on the foot is a little miscolored. I don't know if that's just from yellowing or what, but that kind of scares me. So let's move on to my final thoughts for both Rex and Anakin together. So starting off with Anakin, reusing the older Clone Wars armored body, I think works just fine. It's not perfect. It has some limitations, but using the cloth goods, it really gives this figure new life. I was comparing it to the old figure, and this one has a lot more range and is just easier to get into poses. It's not as stiff. Feels a lot more natural when you are posing him, so that is a huge plus for me. In terms of the overall figure's look, my only complaint is really the shoulder pads, or the shoulders in general, sitting so low compared to the shoulder armor. I would have liked to have seen those just a little bit closer, whether if it was the armor sloping down a bit more or them remolding the chest, I don't know. But that is my only major complaint in terms of the base figure. Would I have liked to have seen a new body mold with upgraded articulation? Yeah, but I still think this figure is an upgrade overall compared to the previous release. For Rex, I will say that this clone body, I think it's a bit newer. It's the one that I've seen a lot of fans are enjoying more. It's got the better articulation overall. I understand the arguments with the comma. I maybe would have preferred a cloth one, but this doesn't bother me too much. I'm kind of used to it because of the ARC troopers I have. My main complaint with Rex really is the knee pads, just because of how loose they are. They don't sit very well on the figure. If you want to have him vanilla after posing for a while, they get stretched out and just want to droop. It is just kind of frustrating overall. I do appreciate the fact that he has 2 trigger finger hands. That was a big plus for me. Some of the rubber overlay pieces like the chest is great. I have no real complaints with the paint apps. You know, I just overall am very happy with the experience that both of these figures have given me. In terms of fun factor, I'm going to say yes. You guys are currently looking at all the photos. I had a good time. I was in kind of a funk, and these were some of the first figures I picked up and just went to town. I had a blast just posing them around. So I'm going to say fun factor for both of them, yes. And then for a final rating, I'm going to give them both an 8 out of 10. They have some quirks, some things I wish were different, but overall they are upgrades to versions I already have in my collection with the previous Target exclusive Anakin and the Phase 2 Rex. So I enjoy these more than posing the older ones, and they have their own place in the collection. So the positives really outweigh the negatives of these figures, as the negatives I can just live with. They're not as bad as I kind of make them out to be when complaining about them. So those are my final thoughts. All right, and that was my review of these 3 Star Wars The Black Series figures, Anakin and Rex from the Ahsoka show, and R2-D2 from Revenge of the Sith. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. Did you pick up these figures? Did this video help inform your decision on picking up or not picking up these figures? If you do have them, do you agree with all my thoughts? Do you not agree? Again, let me know all the things. While you're down there, make sure you like the video and make sure you subscribe, as I have all kinds of reviews on Marvel Legends, Black Series, and others on the way. And yeah, with all that, I will talk to you all in another video, another post, another time.